Day. A day after accusing the NFL of unfairness and racism and claiming he no longer wants to play professional football, unemployed diva wide receiver Antonio Brown backtracked, tweeting, "I'm just very frustrated right now with the false allegations and slander to my name. I love football and I miss it. I just want to play, and I'm very emotional about that. I'm determined to make my way back to the NFL ASAP." I'm not surprised Brown is emotional, and I'm sure some people believe his expression of that emotion is justified and healthy. I'm not one of those people. I believe Brown fits a pattern of male athletes who are increasingly ruled and controlled by their emotions. He's no different from Baker Mayfield and Odell Beckham Jr. It's my belief that the societal attack on masculinity, coupled with the enormous wealth now attained by professional athletes, has significantly changed the attitude, behavior, and identity of the modern athlete. In the name of progress, men and male athletes are being emasculated. I also believe the emasculation is most acute among black male athletes because the black father is absent in many homes. Baby mama culture has produced a culture where the highest level of blackness is victimhood. That's why LeBron James claims spray paint he never saw made him feel like Emmett Till's mother. That's why Colin Kaepernick chose martyrdom over playing football. That's why every weekend Odell whines NFL rules mistreated him. That's why we act like Bill Polian suggesting that Lamar Jackson play receiver is akin to banishment to the CFL. We're on a constant hunt for victim status as a sign of our blackness. The mentality contradicts the culture of sports. It's unhealthy and undermines the success of any athlete who buys into it. All right, guys, I'm dropping a grenade on us.
Is that a grenade?
Yes, it is. That's a bomb. Has emasculated victim mentality hurt black male athletes?
No. What we're seeing is an enlightenment, and what we're seeing is evolution. What we're seeing is a culture that is now enticing, encouraging people to really dig into different realms of expression that before we were told to suppress. So, as we know, the same things that warm you can be the same things that burn you. Let's talk about our people. Let's talk about our brothers. And I know I'm a walking example of someone who has post-traumatic stress demons. And what I've learned through my ride of 44 years on this planet is what worked then doesn't necessarily need to work now. And more importantly, probably won't work. And I'm learning this through therapy as I go every single week. And you're fine. Like your normalcy is your comfort. And as men, we've been told that if you keep it in here and you act this certain way, you'll be fine. But let's all register our secret, private lowlights, those implosions, those triggers, those things that keep us at the edge. And what this culture has realized is let's get these brothers farther from that edge. Because if not, then the little things will become big things and blown out of proportion. And it doesn't have to be athletes. I'm just talking about the common man walking around who gets triggered to a different place because he's already in inner turmoil because he has no expression. So I'm encouraged about this. As anything, when it's new, there's an overcorrection. So we're going to see people kind of go too far before they realize what's the true bullseye. And as I told you before, any marksman, when he wants to hit a bullseye, he doesn't aim at the bullseye. He aims off. He aims off, then pulls the trigger. This culture right now is off. It's off. You're sensitive. You're too emotional. You're complaining. Boom. Then they'll finally nail it. We have to wait for that.
Oh, man.
Great response. Go ahead.
You know, it's interesting. This has been an age-old deal for me. Growing up, I was the son of a school teacher, and she taught in Northview Heights. And if you're from Pittsburgh, you know that Northview Heights is one of the toughest areas that you could ever be in. We used to have to go into the communities to do parent-teacher conference. And it was interesting because I learned at an early age that, you know, having a dad and having the situation that I had, that there was a lot of elements out there that existed. And as it applies to this situation, there's just a lot of, and within my community, within the black community, there isn't that education, there isn't that constant reassurance of what you represent, the power that you represent, and it always bothered me. And just seeing how it's interesting, you feel so let down for so long. Everything is, you're being let down. I can't trust, and it's for so many different years. And I don't know if it's emasculated victim, but it certainly is victim. You feel like a victim. You feel like nothing can go your way. And then for all these years, you take that pain and you take that letdown and you take all of those elements and you use it to propel you as an athlete. You go to a certain level, you get to a certain place, and it's always your mom that's there. It's your grandmom that was there, your aunt, your caretaker that was there for you for all those years. And I think what we're figuring out now, what we're seeing, and why for me, and even the segment with talking about Dion being a coach, why it would be important to have strong male figures, especially strong black male figures in sports, is because the more success, I wrote this down, the more success an athlete has, the further they move away from the people that can relate and understand them. All right? So the more success that person has, they found all this success. They had all these good things happening to them on the football field. And when you mentioned LeBron, it happened on the basketball court. And then all of a sudden, here comes Nike. Here comes the NFL, here comes the NBA, here comes the agents, here comes all of the money. And now all of a sudden we're looking at the fact that somebody who had used the pain to push them and propel them, now in these type of circumstances that AB has found himself in, now turns them into a victim. The same thing that made him a hero, the same thing that put him in a position to make the money that he makes and to have an agent and to have a beautiful house and a nice car and everything that comes along with the success. The one thing that has continued to be a disconnect and a divide is the development of them as human beings. And I think that that's the biggest problem that we're seeing right here. And when you look at the emasculated victim mentality, yes, it hurts us as a people. It hurts black people because in the end, if you don't understand that value and if you're not trained in order to be able to handle what comes along with that success, it's not just the success of being able to run a route and catch the ball. It's being able to be a person, a positive person.
In relation to AB, I know he grew up in Liberty City in Miami, and I don't know how involved his dad was in his life, but I've never met my dad. And when you grow up in the projects, and victim mentality is basically, I blame everybody for my problems. It's never my fault. It's always somebody else's fault. When you fight fire with fire. And so he's looking at the NFL like, oh, y'all not going to reinstate me? You're not going to let me play football? All right, I'm going to send this tweet out. F the NFL, I don't want to play. He takes a step back. I really do want to play.
Yeah.
And I'm going to put this out there. In relation to his accuser, it's more so, I've worked my tail off to get this money. I'm not about to be your come up. Like, you're not about to come up off of me. And that's how we think. You grow up, and how I grew up and where I come from, and I'm sure it's very similar situations. You shown a sign of weakness, you will get picked on every single day. And so you have to have his mentality growing up because you can't survive in that environment. You will get bullied and picked on every day. And so when you come at me, 100% I'm coming back at you. I'm not going to show you a sign of weakness at all, because if I do, that will be attacked. And we all know that. And so he probably didn't have a male figure to tell him, it's okay to show signs of weakness, but you ain't gonna be no punk. And so that's the biggest problem is in our culture, in the way a lot of us have grown up, you show that it's the beginning of the end. And so he has to learn it's okay to admit, I played a part in this. And let me see if I can correct this and try to rectify the situation. And once he does that, he will begin to move forward.
I think everybody said some interesting things. The one thing where I'm critical of our culture and where I don't think this is being framed as progress, show your emotions, let your emotions go. I think we need to be trained how to handle, deal with, properly express our emotions. And that's what's been missing with a lot of these athletes that had no male role model, no father in their life. And I see it like, let me just be emotional. And emotion is what gets me through a football game or through an athletic event, and it's going to serve me here showing my emotions. No. Properly channeling, properly dealing with your emotions, that will get you through this in a healthier fashion. And I'm just, for me, as a man, I just look at a lot of where we're heading. It's just not masculine. It's just not the way I was brought up and raised by my father.
But see, that's the key. Your father. And so, until this is a bigger problem, until our fathers are in the picture, who do we learn this from?
And that's why I think
Who do you learn it from?
I think having the right figures coaching and being a part of their lives at that formidable stage is so important. Because what you're talking about, we are taking our scars into a business environment. We're taking our personal scars and our personal experiences into a business environment.
Here's what I also think, though, and again, this is going to be a bomb, but I just think we're shirking our responsibilities as men. See, because, again, we've turned being a man into complaining. As a man, the way I was raised and the way I feel every day, my job is to fix problems. Not
solutions.
Solutions. I'm here to fix problems. My mama, girlfriend, wife, they can point them out. They come to, I'm the solution.
That's
and
learned.
Again, right.
That's
and again,
learned.
my mother was a solution. Again, my parents got divorced, and my mother was about solutions. So I'm not just saying it's just a man-woman thing. Anybody can be a solution solver. But we've come to this place now in our culture where we just think complaining and whining, that's what we're supposed to do.
I don't disagree with that at all. I don't disagree with that.
Well, we have to always remember at the primal level and in all cultures, all norms, all values, all beliefs, there's a choice. There's a selection. And even gender roles are choices that are morphing as generations live. Let's talk about the men. Men walk out, if they don't have a man in the home, a lot of times with a fractured spirit. So what happens when you have a fractured spirit is an insecurity. And that insecurity may take you to a physical dominance. I can't show weakness. I got to put the Teflon on. But that's the problem. And I learned this at a young age, that the bully strikes first because he's really scared to get punched. So he starts the fight because I don't really want you to bring me this fight. I start this out of pain just so that I can look like I am the more powerful one in this painful situation. Why are there so many gangbangers? Why did I grow up in a gang-infested neighborhood? It's because nobody was at home to tell them I got you all the way around, every piece of this puzzle. So when you have a two-family dynamic, and this just happened to me this morning with my son, before I knew we were going to talk about this, I was listening to the dynamic between my son and his mother, and there was a lot of emotional energy going back and forth. And everything he said, she said, they went back and forth. And I was the bear, just letting them go back and forth. And finally, after the fourth exchange, it was like, hey. And then, you know what? Everything was resolved. But we have to remember, when your ego is talking to you, it's irrational. When you're thinking cognitively, you're not empathetic. And when you're thinking emotionally, you're not logical. So we have to find the perfect translation of this. All of these things are going to take time. These brothers are walking out there who made it, and then their ego took them to a place where say, I did this. That's not the same thing. So they're kind of out of text, out of zone. We'll see how they correct.
All right, Fox Sports is proud to partner with the Mission Continues, a non-profit organization deploying military veterans and community leaders to build stronger communities across the nation. Visit www.missioncontinues.org to learn more.
For military men and women, the desire to serve is in their core. Yet when they come home, their potential remains untapped. We're building a movement of veterans and volunteers to transform neighborhoods. We go beyond community service. We're a catalytic force driving lasting impact across the country. We are the Mission Continues. To serve alongside us or donate, visit missioncontinues.org.
All right, more Speak for Yourself after this. We'll tell you what we think about Saquon Barkley's dad wearing a Jets jersey on Sunday. Nerds!
Oh.